Hi there, I'm Sune from Cobrid, and it's time for some more Tuesday tips. And this week we're going to talk about different KPI types. But first of all, let's look at the word again, KPI. So what KPI stands for is Key Performance Indicator. And that raises the question, how do we actually indicate performance? Well, let's have a look over here. So let's imagine that we run a cinema. And this cinema generates some sales, and those sales generate some revenue. So from each sale, we have a given revenue. So that could be, in the first case here, that we have the whole family coming to the cinema, watching a movie, buying some popcorn, stuff like that. Or we could just have a couple here just buying a popcorn to share and stuff like that. And when we look at this data set, we cannot really see any trends. We cannot really see where this is going, in what direction. So what we need to do with that is that we need to apply some sort of math to it to represent this data set in another way. And one way of doing that is to summarize the revenue coming from each sale to get the total revenue over time. And that's what I've done down here. And if we look at that, we can see a graph that is raising nicely. And that actually indicates some trends. And we can also set a goal for that. So for instance, if we look at the revenue in a given month, we could set a goal for that specifically. Now, KPIs usually fall into 4 different categories. And in this video, I'll go through the different categories by some examples connected to this cinema that we are imagining. So the first one is that often we just want to count some stuff. And in the case of the cinema, that could be to count the total number of sales. So we just do that by counting how many sales have we had so far in the given period of time that we are looking at. So that could be in this month, this year, and so on. Another way of doing it is to summarize some stuff. And again, in the case of the cinema, we could just summarize the revenue generated from the different sales to get the revenue over time. And again, we can do that in a month, in a year, so on. Now, another example is to get the average, and that actually combines both count and sum. And in the case of the cinema, we could take the total sales revenue that we looked at before and divide it by the number of sales. And then we get the average revenue generated from each sale. And we will usually work towards increasing that number to get higher revenue from each sale. Now, a special one, the fourth and final one, will be the share. And if we look at that, we can look at the number of snack sales over the total number of sales, for instance. And in that case, we get a share of snacks or sales including snacks as a part of the total number of sales. But what is important to notice here is that this number up here is always a part of this number down here. So we know that the number of snack sales is also included in the total number of sales. Another way of looking at that would be to look at the revenue from snack sales and then over the total sales revenue. But usually this gives us a number that is a bit odd, and usually we want to multiply it by 100 to get a percent. And we can do that for both of these. Like this. And in that case, we get a percentage instead, which is nicer to look at. Now, if we look at those two, we can see that they tell different stories, and they are both a part of the overall picture. So to get the full picture and to understand the shop in general, or to understand this matter of snack sales, we need both of them. But that is a subject for another video that we look into the sets of KPIs you need. So if you like this video, give it a like or consider sharing it with your colleagues. And thank you very much for watching.